What is the power of exercise variety, really? So oftentimes when we think about selecting exercises and designing a program, one of the variables is rotation of exercises. How often should we do it? Dr. Mill has some ideas here on why this variable is so important but can be poorly managed. So exercise variety has been always something I've been interested in as coaching the sport of weightlifting and working with clients in terms of bodybuilding. In particular, thinking about in the world of bodybuilding, hitting different musculature in different ways. That's a very generic way of describing this, but trying to activate muscles because muscles don't always respond in the same way to a given movement. So, for example, if you widen your stance by 1 foot width in a squat, that's going to change how muscle activation occurs. We know this with front squat, back squat, and exercises like that. If you pull sumo versus conventional, it's very different. And so variety then can be beneficial in the world of weightlifting. Variety can work on, in drills, can work on the second pull, if we want to get into the technical words here, or the first pull, or overhead, or whatever it may be. And so variety has value. But I want to talk about it in another context, which I think is very important, and that is in the fight against monotony. If you are struggling with your training program, keep in mind that if you hate going to the gym every day or you're tired of the same routine you've been doing, you probably won't work as hard as you could. You're thinking, oh, I got to do squat, and then I got this, I got a leg extension after, oh yeah, and then I got biceps curls. Again, if you're doing a mixed program, whatever it may be, you're not particularly excited to the exercise. Your joints may hurt because you've been doing the same movement over and over and over again. Maybe you've stagnated on the exercise, so it's like, I'm just going to do these and fail at 50 again. It's a mental game. And if you are not mentally engaged in your training, then you can't expect to have sufficient neuro drive to really push hard. You can't expect to expend the energy needed, no matter how good your nutrition is, if you hate what you're doing. So my advice would be, when it comes to exercise variety, is rotate the exercise. I often do weight movements in weightlifting, not because they have a tremendous technical component, but because they're challenging. And when people that do weightlifting for long periods of time, it's a sport where you like to be challenged. That's part of the game mentally. That's why somebody wants to be involved with weightlifting, typically. It's not for the money, it's not for the fame, it's because they like the sport and they want to get better. And so rotating exercise, making it in a situation where it is more challenging, can be beneficial. This was Louis Simmons has done this similar type of thing with Westside Barbell. Now, I'm not advocating maxing out every session. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm more in line with this idea of changing the stimulus through exercise variety. And there's a couple studies that support this idea that changing exercise can be a very powerful thing, more than even changing the loading. And it has to do, I believe, primarily with monotony. It's not necessarily the muscles are getting hit any differently, although that may be true. It's not that you're working on a specific skill in a movement like weightlifting, although that may be true. One of the greatest drivers is monotony. So when I know the weightlifters come in, they'll look at their card and get excited about, oh, we're going to do a max out snatch balance today. It's a drill, and it's done in a manner that they get to max out, but it's not going to be something that destroys their body, but it's a challenge. And so maybe they've been doing snatch balances, and now they're going to try it and see what the most they can do in a way that's not to complete devastation. And I'm making a lot of assumptions here that somebody knows how to do the exercise, so on. So in terms of rotation, then how often should we rotate? Well, that's going to depend upon the individual. So if somebody's just starting out in any training program, rotating the exercises too quickly is going to cause an issue with not being able to learn how to move the weight, so building enough volume to be able to practice. So if you've never done a lat pull down before, and it's your first time, it may take 8 weeks to learn how to do a lat pull down properly in order to build out the volume to the point where you can see some progress. If you're in weightlifting, you've never been a weightlifter, there's no point in rotating the exercises every week, and now you're on the block and now from the hang. Just do the movement or a select group of drills initially in order to get better before you start opening the can and trying all these different things. So basically, the more advanced the exerciser, lifter, athlete, the more variety that can be introduced, because the loads that are associated. You have a general idea of what the skill is of the exercise, how you should feel, where you should feel it, how you should execute the skill. And then you can provide some progression quite quickly within 2 to 3 weeks. So in many programs, I'll rotate exercises for weightlifters every 2 weeks. Now there's maybe similar variants, but in sport like weightlifting, this is easier to do, to put somebody on the block or put them in a hang or do a complex. But in the world of physique building, you could do it every mesocycle. So every 4 weeks or so, rotate out the way you do biceps curls. It's still a biceps curl, arm curl, but you may have a different grip. You may be using dumbbells. You may, decide to use the biceps in more of a shortened position, an elongated position to begin with, whatever it may be. That's how you provide variety. Variety is a powerful tool to build change because of the psychological portion, motivation, breaking the monotony, and the desire to work hard. So don't, as you're looking at your program, you're like, man, maybe this could be it. This could be the same thing. Yes, you do have to hang in there with some exercises like compound lifts are important to hang, but maybe a cycle where you get away from those lifts and just do a dumbbell cycle or something else could be really beneficial. You get excited about squatting again. In turn, you may have activated the muscles in a different way and created a metabolic milieu. Maybe that promotes some muscle hypertrophy you weren't seeing. And now you go back to those back squats again, and now you grind it out for another 3 cycles or whatever it may be. So try it out, try some variety within the context of where your current skill level is, and see how you do. Let me know how you did. Drop it in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to this channel for more information on fitness and nutrition.